Hey there, I'm Trev with Studio Z. We turn everyday musicians into remarkable craftspeople. I was scripting today's video and I realized that this is something I don't think I really need a script for because I'm kind of speaking to my younger self in this. I've been making music for over 2/3 of my life now. And for that period that I've been making music, I would say majority of it, I've been making music that I don't think I really like, mainly because it never sounded the way it does in my head. And I don't know why. I've never really reflected on that until now as I'm sitting down to film this video. So these are essentially 5 big mistakes that I wish I knew when I was learning production and that I think many of you watching this could also benefit from. So the first mistake is over-processing tracks. Now, 10 years ago, digital recording for home studio musicians was extremely different. The technology was good, but it wasn't like it is today, like at all. The barrier of entry is so low that really anybody now can learn how to produce music because of how great the sounds are now. And many of us who have been making music for a very long time know that, again, 10 years ago, if I wanted to get this virtual instrument to sound real, there's a lot that I have to do with it, like a lot. But it is to the point now where virtual instruments sound so good that we don't really have to do anything to make this stand out and make this fit within our mix. For example, I just got Addictive Drums. Before that, I've been using Superior Drummer and Easy Drummer for like the longest time. And when I opened up Addictive Drums, I was so shocked that I didn't really feel the need to process these more. I kind of just let them live and let them be their own thing. And I didn't feel compelled to put EQ or compression or really anything on these drums because they were just really good sounds. And chances are your sounds at your disposal are also good enough that you don't need to over-process them. And understanding processing and how much processing you should put on something. It's the difference of something being cooked and being burnt to a crisp. So next time you're in your DAW, really think about the context of everything. Try not processing things that much and just seeing how they exist within the space. So the next thing that I would tell my younger producer self is to not neglect gain staging. Here's a crazy, controversial thought. If you want louder mixes, turn up your audio interface. You do not need to get every single track in your DAW pushing yellow, barely scraping red. Because when something is that intense, there's not much room for forgiveness if something needs to be slightly adjusted. Whereas if we keep everything very, very relatively low, like a good rule of thumb when I'm working, I don't stick to numbers. I think it's kind of arbitrary, but I don't really let anything go past like 6 dB because I want plenty of what's called headroom to be able to turn something up if it needs to stand out in a mix. And when we eventually export this mix to master it, you have so much room to be able to play with dynamics, loudness. It's better to have your initial mix a little too quiet because we can always bring that up at a later time. This is a very simple concept, but trust me, it's far, far important. The next thing I would tell myself is to use reference tracks. Oh my God. This is like the cheat code for getting better at making music. And I feel like not many people really rely on this. Whenever I talk with producers, which if you want to fast track your production, check out the description. We have a 90-day producer bootcamp. I'll talk more on that later. But often when I have these conversations with producers, the initial question is always, well, what do you sound like? And if you're a producer and you can't tell me who you sound like because all you can think of is, well, I sound like myself. I'm original. I don't sound like anybody. That doesn't help anybody understand what your music is. And it's also a key to get lost when you are making music as well, because all you can think of is being original. When yes, originality is incredibly important, reference tracks help us find our way toward who we are. I always use the example, the Beatles, arguably the most original band to ever have existed. They had a reference for everything. When they first started, they wanted to be Buddy Holly mixed with Little Richard. During the Help album, you can hear John Lennon wanting to be Bob Dylan so bad. That is the purpose of reference tracks. It's not that we're copying something. I mean, we kind of are, but we're not plagiarizing something. That's a better word for it. We are taking something that resonates with us, learning how they did it, comparing what we do to that so we have our navigating star to follow. And besides sonic inspiration, like from a mixing standpoint, hearing how loud someone's vocals are, how loud a bass is, and directly comparing it to this, I promise you your mixes are going to drastically change because you have a direct comparison on what you want something to sound like. The whole trying to figure it out on your own thing, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. There are so many resources out there just within your Spotify playlist. Like, it's crazy. I'm really passionate about reference tracks. Can you tell? This next one is very hypocritical. I don't know if you can see, but there's a wall of guitars behind me, which brings me to my next point. Stop focusing on gear. Yes, I have a wall of guitars behind me, but if you were to ask me right now, if I would rather have a wall full of guitars or one really nice guitar, I would go for the one quality piece. Now, I'm with the group that says gear doesn't matter. That is true to a certain extent, because I think that having fewer quality pieces makes much of a bigger difference in the way that you create. For example, let's talk about my MIDI controller. For about 10 years, this was my MIDI controller. I want you to know that I have worked on brand campaigns with very high budgets. Like, I'm talking about a $25,000 budget with this piece of junk. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just a really cheap MIDI keyboard. It hardly does anything. Like, my only controls, I can control where my octave is. I have this sustain button that I can hold down with a finger. Like, I can't even plug a sustain pedal into this thing. It's extremely limiting, but it got so much of my work done. And I was able to create things I was very proud of with this simple piece of equipment. Once I felt like there was a limitation with this, that's when I finally decided to upgrade to something else. And I want you to have the same philosophy with gear. This is my MIDI controller now. It's the Akai MPK Mini Plus. It has a few more keys on it. It has a pitch wheel, an expression wheel, and then it has all these macro controllers here as well. The reason I felt the need to upgrade to something like this is with my productions, I want it to be more hands-on and expressive and feel like I have like a vintage synth in front of me that I can twist the knobs on while I play. And just to have a little more than what the Chord gave me. This is still a budget MIDI keyboard. It's under 200 bucks, so it's very, very affordable for a great piece of gear. I love this thing, but do you want to know the truth? There's nothing that I can do with that keyboard that I couldn't do with this one, because it is not about focusing on the gear. The gear is important, yeah, no doubt about it, but it's how you use the gear. And I feel like that's such an obvious thing. Like, I almost debated talking about this in this moment, but some people still need to hear it. More equipment will not fix your technical skills that you need to work on. More gear, better gear, more expensive gear. Yeah, it's nice, but that will not fix your production as much as understanding basic skills and fundamentals. And the last thing that I'm going to mention, big mistake number 5. This is something that I'm kind of struggling with today. I've been making music for 21 years as I'm recording this. It's so crazy to say, but I never learned real music theory. And that is something that I heavily regret. For a long time, I relied on my ear, and I always felt very proud that I can hear a note and know exactly what it is, and felt skilled around a guitar especially. I felt very uncomfortable at times because once I kind of leveled up, I was a touring musician with many different bands. And there's certain scenarios where if you don't have an understanding of music theory, you're going to get fired like right away. I'm not saying that you need to know music theory at a world-class level, but the first time that someone looked at me and asked me to change that chord to a 7th chord, the amount of guilt and shame that I felt for being a talented musician, but not knowing something as simple as what a 7th is. Oh, that was gut-wrenching. The way that they looked at me, I immediately knew that I'm not a professional. And this carried on for majority of my musical career. Even to this day, I have a very basic understanding of music theory, but I know exactly what I can do to improve. And I know that to this day, I still have shortcomings with theory. I just got a piano back there and I've been absolutely loving it. It's really unlocked a lot of creative ideas because it's something new. It's a fun new instrument that I'm finally navigating my way around. And this time I am learning music theory. and I have a dedicated practice routine. And already, since I've gotten this thing, I feel like has unlocked my understanding of relationships and how to make basic chords sound much more interesting. Like, I get it. It's really cool to be able to hear things by ear. I thought that was a pretty cool party trick. But even if understanding musical theory unlocks like 5 to 10% more of your potential, why would you hold that back from yourself? Why not want more of your potential? I would. I know I want more of my potential. That's why I'm learning music theory. It sucks. It's not fun. It's hard to understand, but that's what building out your craft is. Like, yeah, I think kind of guessing your way through, it's an interesting spin and an interesting style. Like Rick Rubin, for example, he doesn't know a single knob or control on a mixing console. Instead, he has a very specific taste. He knows how to convey that taste. But imagine if Rick Rubin could use the console. This sounds like I'm saying Rick Rubin isn't using his potential. That's crazy. I think you get the point. It's just about continuously working on your craft. Take it from me, once you kind of plateau, that's a really hard place to get out of. And I'm very proud to say that I feel like I'm out of a place that I've plateaued to where I'm continuing to learn and develop. And I mentioned earlier the production bootcamp. That's why we made this bootcamp, because we understand that many people just learn something and don't really know how to continue to learn. We put together a 90-day program to basically level up your production completely. So for 90 days, you are learning so much about your production process and how to make better music. But you're also learning how to continue to develop these skills for the rest of your life. Because yeah, we don't just want to make a course for you to take to learn basic principles. No, we want to develop your sound and your skills. So if you're interested in something like the 90-day production bootcamp, there's a link in the description. There's a whole application form for you to fill out because we want to make sure that this production bootcamp would be the best fit for you. If we think you're a good fit, we're going to hop on a one-on-one call where we dive a little deeper. And then if this investment makes perfect sense for you, your journey will then begin. Again, that'll be in the link in the description. I hope this video was of value to you. I wish I could scream these things to my younger self when I was learning production. So now here's me screaming to you. Wake up, do it. But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay inspired.